Mott Haven is the poorest section of the South Bronx, which is still the poorest congressional district in the United States, right next to the Upper East Side of Manhattan, which is probably one of the wealthiest census tracts in the entire world. It's only about a 5-minute subway ride from East 86th Street to this neighborhood. Life is tough for children in the area. About a quarter of the children suffer chronic asthma. Pediatric asthma has become an epidemic in many inner cities of the United States over the past 10, 15 years. I see some of you nodding who are familiar with these numbers. There are a lot of reasons why. One obvious one is the general inclination of our cities, our municipal agencies, to locate unhealthy industrial installations, such as waste burners and incinerators of various kinds, or toxic industries in neighborhoods where people have no power. May not be overtly driven by racism, but it certainly structurally amounts to the same thing. In New York, in the early 90s, for example, the major research hospitals of Manhattan, the great hospitals of Manhattan, had to find some place to burn their waste, medical waste. And remarkably enough, the initial proposal was to build a medical waste incinerator right near the United Nations. Right, like around East 30th or East 45th Street or something like that. You can bet the parents in that neighborhood blocked that proposal quickly. They brought out experts in respiratory sickness to testify to the effects that would have on their children, on their breathing, on their respiration. Oncologists to testify to the risks of carcinogenic dangers, cancer-causing agents in the smoke, and others just to the aesthetic effects of having this foul, smelly smoke rising above their beautiful neighborhood. Now, where do you think it ended up? They put the medical waste incinerator in the South Bronx, 4 blocks from the school I write about. The kids who already had one of the highest rates of pediatric asthma in America rapidly grew worse. And by the time I was visiting, you got used to seeing little kids, especially if they were under tension, if they're under emotional tension, which exacerbates asthma, reaching into their pocket sort of frantically to make sure they had their pump, as the kids called it, the pump, a little asthma inhaler. About a quarter of the kids I know see their fathers only when they visit them in prison. And whereas I grew up in suburban Boston, where my reference points were to sibling, older brothers, sisters, cousins, fathers who went to Harvard or Amherst or Williams or MIT, that was where my reference points. For these kids, the prison is their reference point. They visit their fathers there on Sundays. Many of these kids know hunger, especially the end of each month. A lot of them have been homeless. That's how I met some of them first. Many have seen homicides. Almost all the children I know have lost a relative to AIDS. This is the epicenter of the HIV epidemic in not just in the United States, but in the Western world. With all the problems that these little kids face outside of school, all these socially created problems outside of the world of education, wouldn't you think that a truly good society, and I believe this is a good society, or at least we wish that we could be one. Wouldn't you think a truly good society would say, look at what these kids have against them from the start. And they're completely innocent, People can stereotype or scapegoat teenagers who look tough, but what have these little babies done? They're innocent, right? They're little kids when they're 3 and 4 years old. They're as clean and pure as the child of a president or senator or anybody else. They've done nothing wrong at all. They have committed no sin. They're too small to hurt us, and they're too sweet to distrust us. The only sin they've made, if it's a theological sin, is to have chosen to be born to terribly poor people at a cold moment in our nation's history. That's their only sin. But wouldn't you think a good society would say, what the hell? With all the odds these children face, in the areas where we have power, where we make decisions in educational provision, let's give them the very best a rich society could possibly afford. Let's just pour it on. Let's give them the best we have, because they need it most. In fact, let's not wait until they enter public school. Let's start when they're still babies. Start when they're 2 or 3 years old. Give them the very best early childhood education, developmental education. Start when they're 2 or 3. Give them pediatric screenings. Check their ears. Check their eyesight. Don't wait till they're in 4th grade to find out whether they need glasses. Do it now. Check signs of any type of chronic illnesses. Give them early exposure to learning and social skills. Start when they're babies. Let's just pour it on, because we're the wealthiest society in the world, and we'd like to think that we're the best and wisest. That's what a good society would do. But we do not.